Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Living Stones Podcast with Amoya Rowe. This is our safe space where we love Jesus Christ and we read the Bible. Today is as cold as I don't know what, and this is the coldest that Florida has been. It's one of the coldest winters that we've experienced. Honey, I have on an undershirt, a t-shirt, a jacket that has the double sides. Oh my goodness. And then I have on the open toe shoes, y'all. That doesn't make any sense. So today we are going to jump into chapter 31 of Genesis. But before we do that, I wanted to say something. I feel that, and maybe it could just be me, I don't know. I tend to have my own world going on and live in it quite often. But I feel that we are in, it's such a dynamic time and season that I feel that we are in right now. And I say it so often, and I'm going to repeat it here again. I am not a prophet. I'm not a minister. I'm not an evangelist. I'm none of those things. Not as a disrespect to those offices. I believe they are true, and that it is the Lord who appoints people into those offices. However, in this space, I operate as someone who loves Jesus Christ. I love him because he first loved me, and I know him to be real, and I know him to be true, and I know him to be faithful. And I want to share that with you. And so however, have been sensing a shifting in the atmosphere. And I don't know if you're sensing it too, but it's kind of like I feel that 2023 for a lot of us was a year of fighting and a year of trying to figure out how we're going to survive and going down to the wire, and I feel that for a lot of us, we overcame 2023. And in fact, I will say if you were listening to the sound of my voice, then you made it. You won. Congratulations. The Lord proved his faithfulness in that season. Nonetheless, I feel that going into 2024, I feel in the atmosphere that there is an unimaginable amount of pressure and expectation. Not that the world is placing on us, but that we are placing on ourselves. I find that a lot of us are experiencing these narratives that say, well, if you did survive 2023, it must have been for something. But here you are stagnant. Here you are without a sense of direction. Here you are without knowing what is next. And I just want to comfort you and tell you this, that despite the support that you're not seeing, despite not hearing the applause, despite not seeing the crowds of people, you're not seeing the orders coming in, you're not hearing people bringing your name up, right? But despite not seeing tangible evidence of the work that you did in 2023 paying off, I want you to know that God honors you for your commitment, not to just the skill set and the gifting that he's given you, but for your commitment to be obedient to the promise and the vision that he gave you. My word to you today is to keep going. Keep going. Press towards the mark. Know that we do this thing called life, and we do it not for the applause of men, but for the applause of one, and that is the living God, the one and true Messiah, Jesus Christ, who is in everything that we do. He is our backing. He is our support. He is our audience. So I am talking to you now. If you are waiting for the applause of man, I command you to shut that down in the name of Jesus. And I ask for you to remember who your true audience is. Remember who the first cheerleader was on your side. Remember the one who gave you the vision. Remember the one who gave you the promise. And just like when he gave the directions to know what to build the ark, this is your time to build and to keep on building. Be mindful that Noah didn't have the applause. Noah didn't have the lines of people supporting him and believing him. Noah had God. He had instruction from God. And even when his own family thought him crazy, he continued to build. So this is our season, Living Stones, to build and to keep on building. Be faithful with every brick that you lay. Build. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Do not lose faith. Do not measure the success and the faithfulness that God has in mind concerning you by the loudness of the applause. Be mindful that it is God who created man. Therefore, who are we to wait on the applause? Who are we to wait on the applause of man when it was God who gave us the vision? Keep going. Keep trusting in what God said. He is faithful. And he's a big God. He gave it to you because he knew that when the pushing became tough, when the push turned into a shove, and when the drowning of the silence came upon you, he knew that you would not quiver away. You would not cower into a corner. You would keep fighting. You would keep pushing. You would keep on dreaming. You would keep on believing. You would keep steadfast onto the vision that God gave you. My brother and my sister, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Thus saith the Lord. All right. Now, let's go ahead and grab your Bible because we need to jump into chapter 31. Okay. I love you. Go grab your Bible. All right, so right now we are in chapter 31. The last time that we talked, we went over Jacob and we talked about how, really we talked about fertility. And if you remember, I hopped up all the way on my high horse because, oh girl, that thing got on my nerves, Jesus. But we are today talking about Uncle Jacob again, or cousin Jacob. I'm going to call him Uncle Jacob. We're talking about Uncle Jacob again, and this is the story of what happened as he's trying to flee, essentially, from Laban. We know that Laban is just this guy is so corrupt, and he is money hungry, he is power hungry, he got a lot going on, okay? And so let's jump right into chapter 31, verse 1. So now Jacob heard the words of Laban's son, saying, Jacob has taken away all that was our father's, and from what was our father's he has acquired all his wealth. That's a bold lie. But in verse 1 to verse 2, Laban and his sons, so now they don't like Jacob no more, right? And they're blaming him for their losses as if Jacob stole from them. But what they're not doing, and has that ever happened to you before, where you are being faithful, you're doing, even knowing that people are being unjust to you, people are being unfair to you, you keep on going, keep on doing what it is that God is telling you to do. Okay, this goes back to my message, keep going. Maybe that's going to be the theme of our conversation today. But even in your being faithful and just doing what God tells you to do, and because of your faithfulness, God is blessing you. Because of your obedience to him, God is blessing you. And then people will look at you, the same ones who are being unfair will look at you and blame you like, oh, why you get all this stuff? Why she get all this stuff? I'm doing this too. And now you stealing things from us. And it's like, but this is the blessing of the Lord. I don't have a say-so in who God blesses. But because of my obedience, he blesses me. And so it's the same thing that's happening right now to Jacob. Remember, Laban had this whole plot of stealing from Jacob. And because of the faithfulness of God, and God don't play by his kids, God told Jacob, hey, this is what Laban got going on. And we're going to learn about that in this chapter too, what exactly God said. But God showed Jacob the plot that Laban had going on, and essentially gave him the cheat code so that he could be walking out of that situation prosperous. And Laban is going to look like Plummy the fool. And that's what happened. And so by verse 3, I want you to listen to this. And well, start at 2. And Jacob saw the countenance of Laban. So now he's noticing, remember, the countenance is like your facial expressions, your affect, your mood. If you're in therapy, you know the affect of how someone is presenting. Jacob saw the countenance of Laban, and indeed, without a doubt, it was not favorable toward him as before. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? People will turn on you when they can't use you anymore. Ain't that something? In the beginning, they will love on you, and what? They see you coming, they can't wait. They're going to be the first one at the gate ready to greet you. But honey, boo-boo child, let it be so to where you're healed and all of a sudden they can't trauma bond with you anymore. Let it be to where now you done finally learned some boundaries and you stop giving them money, and all of a sudden they're not as happy and as jovial when you come around, right? Let you start saying no and speaking up for what you actually want. And all of a sudden they don't like you anymore because they can't manipulate you into doing things to make them feel good about themselves, right? Let you mess around and find some confidence and figure out that the Lord is where your strength comes from, and you don't have to depend on anybody to find joy, because God gives it to you, and he gives it to you without sorrow. Let you ever mess up and find out that God is Jehovah Shalom, and he's the one that's going to give you peace, unspeakable peace, unimaginable peace, peace that surpasses all understanding. All of a sudden now you don't need to smoke, you don't need to drink anymore. Let you ever mess around and find out that, wait a minute, I can't stand in this wilderness season by myself, and I actually don't need you. Oh, baby. Lest you ever find out that, wait a minute, I am valuable and I am worth the wait. And so if you want to be in commitment with me, it's going to require a covenant. Oh, let them ever find out that, no, my body is worth more than silver, diamonds, rubies, and gold. Oh, God, I'm the temple of the Lord. And you can't get near this without a commitment, without a covenant, without you being a man of valor, a man that is after the heart of God. It goes the other way too. Let them find out that I'm not just a piece of meat, and I'm not just going to take you out to eat because I'm a man of God and I'm a man with a plan. That my life and my steps are ordered by the Lord, that I'm after the heart and after the mindset of righteousness. Let them find out. All of a sudden, you don't look as good at it. It's funny how that works. It's funny how everybody will be the diamond in the rough, the apple of my eye, until they can't use you anymore. I pray that when you're reading the Bible, that you are looking for God revealing wisdom to you. So the wisdom that this is showing me is that when you find yourself, okay, backtrack, pause right now, because I feel like I'm about to go on a what's the name, segue per usual. I wish, I said this on my live the other day, I wish that we would stop, and this is in my book, go read it. I wish that we would stop sugarcoating what it is like walking after God, seeking out God after coming out of the world, as the old church would say. I wish we would stop sugarcoating what it's actually like. The people who you see now walking in comfort, and they don't care what people say about them, and it didn't start there, baby. 99.999% it didn't start there. It started with feeling lonely. It started with feeling rejected. It started with questioning, well, dang, it was easier when I was sinning. I might as well go back to sinning. It started out with falling right back into temptation. It started out with just like Saul and being mindful of what people think about me. And so I know what God said, but at the same time, I can't see God, but I can see these people with their pitchforks and being angry at me. And so let me bend and let me adjust and let me compromise what God said in order to fit in still just a little bit. I don't want to be too holy to where the people don't like me, but I can't be too far in sin where I fear that God might lift his spirit and lift his hand off of me. So I'm stuck in this place right now with ambiguity where I don't want to go left because I can't go too far left if I'm going to try to also stay on the right. And I don't want to stay in the middle because I know that God doesn't want lukewarm. He'd rather spit it out. But at the same time, God, I'm here right now on the earth. How, God, do you want me to lead people who won't follow me because they don't see me anymore? They only see you. But God, I want them to see you, but I also want them to like me. It's a complicated, twisted, aggravating space to be in. And that's why not a lot of people make it. Not because they don't have the strength, but because they don't have the wisdom. And because a lot of times we walk into this consecrated life with a false narrative thinking it's going to be easy, lemon squeezy. And it's difficult, lemon difficult. It's not going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy. And so that's why we need, for the older generations, we need you to come back and come teach us. Come tell us. Come normalize the tribulations that we're going to face. Come and tell us that it's not easy. Come and tell us the things that you had to go through. Come tell us how they persecuted you. Tell us how they cursed you. Come and tell us. And then we have to go after and seek after it. Go ask them, how do I navigate this situation? How do I hold on to my holiness? How do I act just as Paul? And if you need me to speak like a Jew, I'm going to speak like a Jew. If you need me to speak like a Greek, I'm going to speak like a Greek. Whatever the man needs, that's what I'm going to become, so that I can win souls for the kingdom of God. But honey, a lot of times a consecrated life comes with a season of loneliness, and it comes with a season of not fitting in. And baby, that's okay. That's okay. And that's normal. That's all I'm saying. All to come back to the point. When Jacob saw that the countenance of Laban had indeed changed and was not favorable towards him, that's how that goes, my love. Because you're getting wiser. You're waking up. If you've never, I'm a big philosophy person. And if you are If you've never been into philosophy, I want you to go look up Plato's Cave, PLATOCAVE, and it is this phenomenal analogy. It does so well of describing this situation right now, where it's like you are awakened, so you can't be mad at the people who are not awakened yet. You can't be mad at the people who haven't seen the sun in real life yet, right? I don't know how we got there. Let's keep going. So return to the land. Here's God. Then the Lord said, verse 3, then the Lord said to Jacob, return to the land of your fathers, to your family, and I will be with you. So this is the opposite of what he said to Abram, because God is telling Jacob to go back home to Isaac, which is the opposite of telling Abram, leave your father's house. Now remember, Terah was over there worshiping false gods, 4-9. Jacob tells Leah and Rachel about all of the unfairness that he's been experiencing with their daddy, right? But all at the same time, though, I'm like, did they not notice? Did they not know that Jacob was experiencing all of that with Laban? I'm sure they knew. They were there. They lived there. So how could they not have known? But 4-9, Jacob is telling Leah and Rachel about Laban's unfairness. And then 10-13, actually, hold on. There was something that I want to read. I want to go back to verse 5. So he's calling them into the field, right, to meet with them. And here's what he says. And said to them, I see your father's countenance, that it is not favorable towards me as before. But the God of my father has been with me. Okay. Let's keep going. And you know that with all my might I've served your father. Yet your father has deceived me and changed my wages 10 times. But God did not allow him to hurt me. If he said thus, the speckled shall be your wages, then all the flocks bore speckled. And if he said thus, the streaked shall be your wages, then all the flocks bore streaked. Listen to this, verse 9. So God has taken away the livestock of your father and given them to me. God will restore stolen goods. God will restore stolen goods. And did you notice that it's like every time Laban is trying to come up with a plan or come up with something to deceive Jacob, that God's like, nope, you can't do that. Nope, you can't do that. And it said God did not allow him to hurt me. But God of my father has been with me. God is with you. You're not by yourself. And God is not blind. God sees. And it happened, I'm at verse 10. Look at verse 10 all the way to 13. This is when Jacob is going to share the vision that God gave him, right? And it happened at the time when the flocks conceived that I lifted my eyes and saw in a dream, and behold, the rams which leaped upon the flocks were streaked, speckled, and gray-spotted. Then the angel of the Lord spoke to me in a dream, saying, Jacob. And I said, here I am. You remember that? That was from Abraham. Here I am. And he said, lift your eyes now and see. All the rams which leap on the flocks are streaked, speckled, and gray-spotted. Listen to this. This is verse 13. This is verse 13. For I have seen all that Laban is doing to you. Who is your Laban? I want you to know that God sees all that Laban is doing to you. Let's go. I am the God of Bethel. You remember that? That is before Jacob even made it into Laban's and people's house. Remember, he was sleeping and he had a vision and he saw God at the gate of heaven and God gave him back the promises. So this is God reminding him again of the vision. Hallelujah. This is God reminding him again of the vision. Where you anointed the pillar and where you made a vow to me. Oh my God. God was reminding us today of our Bethel. God is reminding us of the place where we met him, where he first gave us the vision. He's reminding us that of the vow that we made to him. Let's go back. Hold on. I want to go back. Then Jacob rose. I'm all the way at chapter 28. Then Jacob rose early in the morning and took the stone that he had put on his head, set it up as a pillar, and poured oil on it. And he called the name of the place Bethel. But the name of that city had been Luz previously. Okay, listen to the vow. I'm at verse 20, chapter 28. Then Jacob made a vow saying, if God will be with me and keep me in this way, that I am going, and give me bread to eat and clothing to put on, so that I come back to my father's house in peace. Then the Lord shall be my God, and this stone which I have set as a pillar shall be God's house. And of all that you give me, I will surely give a tenth to you. So God is reminding Jacob of the vow that he made to him. But God is also reminding Jacob, first God reminded him, I'm the God that's with you. I'm the same God of Bethel. You remember when you trusted me back then, when I first gave you the vision and you got excited and you had all these plans and you wrote it down and you created a vision board and you was telling me in the prayer closet of everything that you're going to do, and you started keeping a diary. You messed around and started looking up how to get an LLC, and you started looking up how to start a nonprofit, and you started reading books and Googling everything. You remember that time when you were really excited and you started saying, oh, I'm going to have to learn how to use Excel because I need to learn how to work a budget, and I'm going to start looking up new songs because I'm about to start joining the worship team, and I'm going to start looking out outreach opportunities because I want to go out. You remember the first time that God gave you the vision? Do you remember when God first gave you the vision? Look at this. Look at this. God sees oh my God. God sees everything that we are experiencing that would cause us to believe that God is no longer there. It will cause us to believe that we're by ourselves, that it's never going to get better, that it's stuck, that maybe it wasn't a dream from God, maybe it was just me. But the first thing God does is remind you, hey, I'm the same God that met you at your Bethel. I'm the same God that gave you that vision. Not only that, but I'm the same God who you took a vow. You took a vow. You took a vow. Remember? I hear God saying, I'm going to be faithful to my half of the vow, but what about you? I want to do this in partnership with you. Now God says, now arise, get out of this land and return to the land of your family. So then Rachel and Leah, I'm at 14 to 16. This is when Leah and Rachel, they're expressing like their loyalty to Jacob. So it says then Rachel and Leah. First of all, let me tell you something. Pause. I'm a daddy's girl. We have established this. My daddy, he passed away. He's with the Lord. He accepted the Lord Jesus Christ before he died, and he's gone on to the heavens. Nonetheless, I'm a daddy's girl all the way through and through. You can't say nothing about my daddy. So I could just imagine Laban must have not been a great father because Rachel and Leah didn't take that much convincing. As a matter of fact, listen to them. Then Rachel and Leah answered and said to him, is there still any portion or inheritance for us in our father's house? Are we not considered strangers by him? For he has sold us and also completely consumed our money. For all these riches which God has taken from our father are really ours and our children's. Now then, whatever God has said to do to you, do it. Whatever God has said to you, do it. So they're like, I'm with you. I'm riding if you riding, So then 17 to 18 now, this is when Jacob is like packing up all of his stuff with his family. Okay, pay attention to this. Go all the way down to verse 19. Now Laban had gone to share his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the household idols that were her father's. Why did she do that? Why did she do that? Did we really need to take the idols with us? Was it that deep? I don't know why she did that. But let's keep reading. Then, what was that? I was at 19. Then go down to what's the name? 20. And Jacob stole away unknown to Laban the Syrian, in that he did not tell him that he intended to flee. That's y'all problem now. You talk too much. You need to shut up. You keep telling everybody when you're going to leave. You don't got to announce it, baby. Just go. Just go. Just leave. Because some of us, let me tell you something. You know what I've learned? Some of us, it's not a matter of I can't tell you because you're going to try to trap me and keep me there and you're going to hold me by force and make me can't leave. You know what the problem is for some of us? We don't really, when God gave us the vision, we really didn't believe it 100%. We really only operated with when God said you only need a mustard seed size of faith, that's really all we had was a mustard seed size of faith. And so when God, hold on, let me fix my earphones. And so when God told us to get up and leave, when God told us the vision, we really only had that mustard seed size of faith. So I can't I can't, if I mess around and tell you that I'm getting ready to leave, you're going to start talking good. You're going to start talking good. And all of a sudden, my mustard seed is going to get even smaller and smaller until it's not even a molecule of what I started out with. It was weak already, you know? So, but if I tell you what I'm getting ready to do, you might start talking to me, and that little bit of doubt that I have might resonate with the doubt that you're planting in me. And all of a sudden, what I thought was the vision of God, now I'm questioning, oh, maybe I am crazy, Maybe you're right, I don't have enough money to start this. Maybe you're right, I'm not talented enough. Maybe you're right, I don't have the support. You're absolutely right, I've never seen it before. Who am I to think that I could be the one? Who am I to think I could be the trailblazer? So that's why there's some season in my life, there's some things that God tells me that nobody knows. Nobody knows but me and God. And so when it comes to fruition, I say glory to God, because I know that it's you, because ain't nobody else heard that except for me and you in my prayer closet. Some things you just need to shut up. Not because people have oh God, you are so oh Jesus. If you had any idea of how powerful and how bold and how tenacious you really are, if you had any idea, not because of you, not because of strength, not because of might, not because of power, but because of the spirit of the living God that is deep down on the inside of you, if you had any awareness of the power that is behind you, his name is Jehovah Gabor, the God that wars on our behalf. If you had any idea who you really, really are, like who you really, really are, oh, you would know. You would have a revelation of why it didn't really take the devil tying up Eve and force feeding her. He just had to get in her mind. If you had any idea of how much power is behind your presence alone, there wouldn't be any fear of, oh my God, they're going to rise up in power and try to hold me captive. No, 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 because they can't touch you. Touch not my anointed one, saith the Lord. They can't touch you. They can't do anything to you. But baby, they could start saying something that just touch on that little piece of doubt that you got hidden up under there, on that little piece of low self-esteem that you got hiding up under there, that little piece of insecurity that you got tucked away, that little piece of trauma that you keep putting on the back burner because you don't want to address it. All of a sudden they start saying stuff. And now you started out with the inkling of hope, and now that your twinkle is gone, the twinkle has gone from your eye. So sometimes if you go move, then move, but shut up. That's the word of the shut up. Shut up. You talk too much. You need to shut up. Shut up. Stop telling everybody everything. Shut up. Shut up. You don't talk to God as much as you talk to people. Shut up. You need somebody to complain to? Go to God. You need somebody to get advice from? Go to God. And if you're not hearing from God, maybe that's God telling you, shut up so you can hear me. God is not going to compete for your ear. God is not going to compete for your ear. God's not going to compete. Who is God to compete for your attention? No. Shut up. Be quiet. Go into your secret place, Livingstone. Go into your secret place and shut up. You don't have to announce it. Do like Jacob. Steal away unknown to the Laban in your life. Don't tell him what you intended to do. Okay? Okay, so boom, verse 21. So then he fled with all that he had. He arose and crossed the river and headed towards the mountains of Gilead. Praise God. Now, 20 to I still don't know why Rachel saw it fit to steal the man idols, but you know what? Let's keep reading. 22 to 30, Laban pursues and he overtakes Jacob in the mountains, right? But listen to this, because listen to this. Let's go to 22 to 30. Where's my, okay, 20. Okay, and Laban was told on the third day, 3 days in, Jacob been gone. Third day that Jacob, so why they waited until the third day to tell him? They knew, because remember he was rich, right? So you gonna know something missing. Is Laban so like self-absorbed that he didn't realize until 3 days later that Jacob is gone? Are you serious? And Jacob left with everything that he had? And Laban said to Jacob, go back. And Laban, 22, and Laban was told on the third day that Jacob had fled. Then he took his brethren with him and pursued him for 7 days' journey, and he overtook him in the mountains of Gilead. But but God. I want to go back up real quick. Go back up to verse 5. when it said, but the God of my father has been with me. And then come down to verse 7 where it says, but God did not allow him to hurt me. And then come back all the way down now. Come back all the way down now. What's it say? What's it say? But God had come to Laban, the Syrian, in a dream by night. Oh, I thank God for the but God moments. I thank the Lord for the but God testimony. I thank God for it. But God had come to Laban the Syrian in a dream by night and said to him, be careful that you speak to Jacob, neither good nor bad. What's God saying? You better watch your mouth. Wait. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Is that not what we were just talking about? Be careful what you speak to Jacob. Be careful what you speak to. Why? Because if you mess around and say something too slick to Jacob, you might, oh my God, you might intercept this vision that I gave him. You might adulterate this vision, this pure vision that I gave him. So you better watch your mouth. I hear God telling you, listen, he's going to tell the people the naysayers in your life, you better watch your mouth. You better be careful what you speak to my child. You better be careful not to speak neither good nor bad. You better be careful what you release out of your mouth. Doesn't that make sense then? You see why sometimes you can't tell everybody anything? Watch your mouth. Sometimes, do you remember the prophet who, was it Zephaniah? What was his name, y'all? Who was the prophet who he kept having doubts or whatever? And the angel of the Lord was like, well, since you don't believe, boom, now you're mute. You can't talk. You remember? And then his mouth was only open when it was time for him to name. Do you remember? Shut up. That's the word of the Lord. Shut up. Okay, so Jacob, so Laban overtook Jacob, right? Now, this is after he got the vision, which, I don't know, Laban is bold, because after God done told me don't touch his child, I don't want to come nowhere near you. First of all, hello, God. If Laban is worshiping all these false gods, can you imagine? And then all of a sudden, here comes the real and only living God. Like, hey, you with your toys, Be careful what you say to my child, Let's keep going. So then, by 31 to 41, Jacob now, he's like confronting Laban, who he's like searching for his God. So what happened was Laban caught him, right? And Laban's like, hey, bro, why are you leaving? Why you didn't even tell me? If you told me, I would have like had a feast. I would have had a good old timbrel and harp, and we would have been singing songs. We would have had a going away party, right? If you didn't leave, but you made me, I have a vision from God, and God was telling me not to mess with you. I could hurt you, but I'm not going to hurt you because God told me not to do it. But anyway, is it not good enough, bad enough that you already stole my daughter, you stole all my things, but now why did you steal my gods, bro? Like, why did you take my false god? And Jacob is like, because I was not Jacob is answering on the part of why I left and I didn't tell you. Here go Jacob 31. Because I was afraid, for I said, perhaps you will take your daughters from me by force. With whomever you find your gods, do not let him live. In the presence of our brethren, identify what I have of yours, take it with you. For Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. See, Rachel, you doing too much. Rachel stole the man's things, and now here go Jacob, not knowing that Rachel had the gods, was like, hey, go on ahead and if you see anybody with the gods, kill them. Isn't that crazy? And so then, by 42 now, Jacob is kind of affirming, right? He says, God sees my affliction, and he's going to rebuke Laban. Let's go read it down to verse 42. Unless the God, so all the way down those verses, right? Jacob was kind of explaining like, bro, I served you, I did this, I did that, and you were still being mean to me, right? And so at the end, listen how Jacob finishes it off. Verse 42, unless the God of my father, had not been for the Lord on my side. So 42, it says, unless the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac. That part really caught my attention, because a lot of times when we're talking about it, the genealogy, we say the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob or Israel, right? But this one, it's synonymous with fear, and fear is capitalized. Isn't that cool? Now, this isn't a fear like, oh, let me run and hide. This is respect. This is vulnerability, unless the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had been with me, surely now you would have sent me away empty-handed. God has seen my affliction and the labor of my hands and rebuked you last night. Thank God. Thank God. God sees my affliction. Let that be a comfort to you. God sees your affliction, right? And so then, listen to this foolishness. So after Jacob was like, yep, the Lord rebukes you, 43 to 46, now Laban is asking Jacob for a covenant. But listen to this interesting part. 45. No, let's go to 46. No, let's go to 45. So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. Then Jacob said to his brethren, gather stones. And they took stones and made a heap, and they ate there on the heap. Laban called it Lagar Sahadutha. Ooh, that was a good one. But Jacob called it Galid. Listen to this. Jagar Sahadutha is Aramic for heap of witness. Galid is Hebrew for heap of witness. We don't have to speak the same language. We might call it by different names, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. You want to call it one thing, I call it the other, but God, it's the same thing. That's why we can't be so focused on what our enemies want to call it and what you know what I mean? Don't be so rigid. Don't be so short-sighted that you are not willing to have a conversation with somebody who thinks opposite of you. Sometimes, have you ever been in with some of those conversations, some of those arguments, and by the end of it, 40, 50 minutes into it, you realize, oh, we're saying the same thing, we're just saying it differently. We find that a lot in Christianity. Where it's like, is it Pentecostal or is it charismatic? Is it Baptist or is it what? I don't know, child. But like it's the same thing. It's the same thing. But I thought that was so interesting. Let's keep going. I feel like I'm getting stuffed up, y'all. Y'all pray for me. Jacob. Okay, so Jacob affirmed, yeah. And then by 43 to 46, Laban responds with a request for a covenant. And so they call it the same name, 47. But then 48 to 45, then Jacob and Laban, they kind of like made they made a truce, right? And then Laban blessed him. Ain't that something? It took all that for you to figure out. That's going back to it. That's what I call when they're calling the heap of witness. That's what you call dual perspective. It's the ability to say, I can see it from where you're seeing it, and I can see it from where I'm seeing it too. It's the same thing. It's dual perspective. I want you to go look that up. Go look up dual perspective. The ability to see something from someone else's perspective. But it doesn't mean that you are ignoring your own perspective. It just means that the ability for you to see theirs and see yours at the same time is dual perspective. And it is important. It is important. That's how we come to agreements. Okay. There's a lot of accountability and forgiveness there in that exchange. And it's interesting because reconciliation, it kind of came after agreeing in your own respective languages. I don't need you to talk like I talk. I don't need you to believe what I believe, but I need you to stick to truth. One thing that we can't debate is God. Laban can't debate God. And God showed up in such a way that Laban couldn't deny him if he wanted to. So you can stay on your side, talk how you talk, and I'm going to stay on my side and talk how I talk. But one thing where we're going to be agreeing on is God, right? But look, so then, and early in the morning, Laban arose and kissed his sons and daughters and blessed them. Then Laban departed and returned to his place. What did we get out of this? I think one of the bigger one, shut up sometimes. But I also recognize that God sees our afflictions, and he is the one who's going to give us insight. God will tell Laban, whoever Laban is in your life. I hear the Lord saying sometimes Laban is you. God will stop Laban in their pursuit and warn him. Maybe this is a warning for you, for that Laban attitude you have. God's protection overrides the desires of our enemies, including you. Has God ever had to protect you from you or protect you from your own desires? And sometimes we don't need to, another thing I'm pulling from this is sometimes we don't need to defend ourselves. We don't always need to announce our leave. Just go. Just go. Just go. Because the reality is Laban came for his gods. He ain't coming for them people. He ain't coming for that family. He was really coming to get his gods back. We worry thinking Laban is after us, but no, not necessarily. Sometimes I just want your gifting. I don't care about you. I just want your gifting. I don't care about you. I like how it's, I like that I profit from your gifting. And you got to watch out for those people. Laban, God didn't, let me just say this. God did not call us to be manipulated and abused. God did not call you to be manipulated and abused. God wants to partner with you and what I would say, getting even. We might call it getting justice, pursuing justice. Now, look, that might be your Aramic and this is my Hebrew, but getting even. But no, God didn't call us to be manipulated and abused. Honey, stand up for yourself. Jacob, listen. Now we know that all things reveal itself according to the plan and the timing that God has in mind. But Jacob had all this on his heart. He done spent all these verses finally telling him from 31 all the way down to what? To 42. After all these years, it's been what, 20 years, 21 years of you suffering? When are you going to speak up for yourself? When are you going to speak up for yourself? Now, don't speak out of turn, right? Because you don't want to talk too soon and reveal your plan. Because some of y'all, you talk too much. You don't know how to filter yourself. So don't speak out of turn and reveal your plan. But God didn't call you to be manipulated and abused. Honey, just get up and go. I love you. Bye.